Hi everyone, this is Ibrahim Shishubor, and this is the next segment of my series of videos on the Sam Harris and St. Koiger debate. This isn't actually, this video that I'm making isn't actually about the part of the debate itself, at least. It's just that Sam talks about the notion of this separation of church and state, or religion and state, religion and legislation, if you like to call it, and it just passes by, and it's not a part of the debate much, but so they don't get into the notion of it, but it triggered something in my head. It's been something that I want to talk about for a long time, and I've heard other people, especially Hawkins, who's talked about this, and he talks about how we should have, if there is going to be a debate, if we're going to talk about our differences and our mutual, what we differ on, we agree on, and everything else, and things that we share and everything, and how we're going to find a way forward, how we're going to solve our problems between the different ideologies that exist in the world, Muslim, religion. We have to live in a secular state. We have to live in a secular state so that we can move forward from what we have right now, or at least keep on moving forward as we're doing, if he believes that we are, or whatever. It says that if whatever we want to do, it must be done. If we're going to move toward, if we're going to do something for the better, of course, not for the worse, it has to be done in a secular state and conditions that are imposed by a secular legislation, constitution, and law. So this is what I want to talk about: separation of church and state, separation of religion and legislation. Should it be done? And if it should be, so what should we have? If it can't be done, if it should not be done, what should we have? First of all, let's explain what legislation and religion, what they mean. Religion. For religion, in its basic form, in its most essential basic form, when you break everything down, every religion is a conception of truth and false, right and wrong. So when it says that lying is bad and telling the truth is good, stealing is bad, providing for your family and working for your pay is good. When it says praying is good, not praying, of course, when you say something is good, then everything that contradicts it, everything other than it, is bad. So you're basically explaining good from bad. When it says that when someone says there is a God, when somebody or a religion says there is a God, or these are his prophets, or forever, it's saying it's basically it's a explanation of its ideology according to the base it is from. If it's coming from a human that says that I can tell you the truth, or if it comes from someone who says that I'm telling the truth from the words of God, or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. So that is what, and you can, every single point in a religion, every single thing, and one things are about things that, I said one things are one form of the explanation that it does, and what it explains is the actions that we must take as we humans, and explains our actions. Another thing that it explains notions. It explains the essence of notions, like what justice is, or what the Creator is, whether he's physical or not physical, whether he can be explained and described, or whether he cannot be described, where he comes from, where he is, or whether he is not in anywhere, or whether he is everywhere. Whatever. It explains different things. Everything in religion is an explanation. That is what religion is. It's an explanation. It is telling what the truth is, or what is right and wrong, according to the ideology and its belief and the roots that it comes from. So this is one point. Second point, if we explain religion as an ideology, as a belief of right or wrong, in its most basic form, then everyone has a religion. And religions are ideologies. Ideologies are what you perceive as right and wrong. So if I want to make it better, I'll repeat this sentence again because I think it explains what I'm trying to say. Religions are ideologies. Ideologies are each person's theory. Everyone who has an ideology is that person's belief in what is right and what is wrong, what is the truth and what is false. It's every person's notion and belief, an explanation of the things, of what this universe is, where it has come from, where it is going, if it has come from somewhere, if it is going somewhere, if it has a motive or not, if it is just all random things that happened, if we have free will, if we do not, and what we should do, or what is the right path to take in this world. This is the explanation. This is what any ideology that any person has is doing, whether they realize it or not. So, and as I said, religions are ideologies. Whether it's somebody says, I've heard the words of God, I believe in God, and I've heard His words, and these are the things that explain what's right. I don't believe in God, or I believe in God, but there's no words from Him, or I don't believe in God, so there's not going to be any word. This is just my view on these things. Or whether somebody says that I've heard God's words and I don't want to listen to them. These are my views. Whatever that is the person's ideology. So that is an ideology, and religions are nothing but ideology. Ideologies are nothing but your belief in right and wrong. So this is what religion is. In this sense, anyone who has an opinion on anything has a religion. As long as there is thought and conclusions and opinions, I will be called a religious person. Even if the conclusions I come to are that there is no God. Even if the conclusion, let's go more deeper into this. Even if I believe that there is no religion, in the classical sense of religion, like Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, whatever, then my religion, this is my belief. If I believe that there is no truth in anything, that is my belief, that everything is false. If I believe that everything is doubtful, then that's what it is. That's my religion. So there is no such a thing. As long as people think, draw conclusions, form opinions on any subject or anything, they will have religions. And every thinking person, in this sense, has a religion, because they have opinions. Even whether they realize it or not. It depends on what you call religion. So this is the basic, and how every conversation should be done from the base to the top. Base on up. Okay, so this is the fundamental explanation of religion and how everyone has a religion. So let's go to the second thing. And you have to say that after this explanation of religion, let's explain legislation. Let's explain state, government. What are laws? Laws are the lawmaker or lawmakers' definition of what is right and wrong. That's all there is to it. Laws are what we believe that are right and wrong, and we try to impose this. And governments are bodies that impose this ideology of right and wrong on. They impose this law. They impose this ideology of right and wrong. So, in essence, religion is ideology. Everyone, it's a notion of what is right and wrong, every single person has a notion of what is right and wrong. And statehood and legislation, government, constitution, they are all just the lawmaker's notion and belief of what is right and wrong. So, in the essential meaning, there will never be a state and religion will never be separated. There will never be a division between legislation and religion. They will always be a part of each other. Just like when you say Sharia law, that all the Muslims want to impose Sharia law on us. I don't care if it doesn't matter whether they want to or not, but Sharia law is the same. Sharia means law. So Sharia law, just by putting different labels on things doesn't make them different. The meaning, the notion of the essential understanding of it is what defines things as different or the same. So Sharia law, Sharia means law. It's law. It's not some kind of law. Of course, I know what the people mean when they say it, but in its essential word literature, it's different. So, and all in all, it's the same for law and religion. Law is what you perceive as right and wrong, but there is a difference. You might say that it is there is a body, a legislative body, a government that enforces it, and religion is also the belief of right and wrong. So there will never be a division, a separation of state and church. There will never be a separation of religion and legislation. Legislation will always be based upon the legislator's belief and religion, whatever it is, whether it is the absolute disbelief in every single thing that exists. So those are two things. That was the first thing that I want to talk about, that you will never have a separation of state and religion. Now let's talk about the fact that, as I said, I don't want to get into the words and what it's the people's purpose and what they try to conclude is important, not how they try to say it. So Mr. Harris, I think, and Mr. Hitchens and Hawkins and whoever are in these, I know what they mean when they say, or other people, when they say separation of state and religion, they mean religion in its classical sense. What comes to mind when you talk about religion is Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, or Islam, or whatever. That's what they mean. So, but how I'm going to try to debate this argument is that when you say, as I explained before, everyone has a religion. Every belief is a religion in itself, in its essential form and meaning. So when somebody doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in that we came from somewhere and that we are going somewhere, whatever, they have a religion themselves. So an atheist is also a religious person, whether they know it, they don't know, but in its essential form, they have a religion. Because they have a belief. Because they have a belief. They believe in something. So when they say a secular state, they think they mean a religionless state, but it's not. It's not. It is religion. It may be a religionless state in the form that it's not Islamic, it's not Christian, it's not Buddhism, or it's not Jewish, but it is a religious state because it's based on an ideology, it's based on a belief, and it's on the belief of atheism. So it is a religious state, it's the religion of atheism. Now the question that comes here is, if we can have an environment that is the basic, that is the governing body, that defines the laws of how we can live together beside each other, beside one another, based on one religion, because if you agree with the conclusion I came to, that a secular state would be based on the religion of atheism, that there is no God, we're not going to go, there's going to be no afterlife and whatever. If people think that we should have a secular state based on the religion, that there is no God, one religion says, let's have a legislation based on the fact that there is a God. This one's saying let's have it based on the fact that there is no God. Let's have a legislation on the fact that someone was a prophet. Let's have a legislation on the fact that there was never any prophets. What's the difference? Why should this is the essential meaning of what they're trying to say, and they don't even realize what they're saying. So what I mean is, my question is, why should the basis of the foundation of the society that we think that someone like Mr. Harris thinks we should have, why should it be formed on the basis of the belief that there is no God? Why shouldn't it be based on the belief that there is a God? Now I'll get to the answer later. Because I've thought about this, and because I understand what I'm saying and what they're saying as well. But they, according to the logic that I propose to you here, they don't understand it, so they have not formed an answer to this question, because they haven't formed the question itself, because they haven't realized the contradiction. But they don't understand what they're proposing. So I'll ask the question again: why should the fundamental and basics of the society, the laws that define and control this society, be based on the fact that there is no God? Well, they can just as well be based on the fact that there is a God. And that is a question. That is a legal question that must be answered before we can choose to put it on the secular, the atheistic religion, based on religion, or theist religion, or whatever it is, or whatever forms they might have, because they each separate into 1,000 different ideologies, infinite different ideologies. But it doesn't matter. The main question is, why should it be based on the fact that there is no God, there are no prophets, there is no book, there is no revelation, or whatever? And why should it be fact that this is a book, this is a revelation, we accept this, we accept that? Because Mr. Hitchens and Hawkins and people, Harris, they don't accept the sources that someone who believes in, like, Christianity or Judaism or whatever, they don't accept the sources that they have. They don't accept this guy named Moses. They don't accept this guy named Jesus. They don't accept this book called the Torah, the Old Testament, the New, or whatever, the Quran or whatever. They don't accept these things. So, what do they believe? Like, someone might say, I believe in Darwin, and what he said, what he explained. Someone might say, I believe in his book, I believe in his findings, I believe in his theories, I believe in what he taught, I believe in Einstein, I believe in Edison, I believe in whatever. But that's just the thing. Who's to say that this guy's book, this guy's revelations, this guy's a belief, an ideology, is more legitimate than this other person? Who's to say the sources that you choose to form your opinion are more legitimate than mine or someone else's? There is no way you can say that you may not believe it yourself, and you have the right to not believe in a source, not to accept it, but you can't stop me from saying that. Well, I'll make an example. I may be caught up on a mathematical question, okay? So there's a mathematic problem, and I believe that the solution is X. And then I have a teacher that comes up to me, or a friend that comes up to me, or whatever, neighbor or whatever, and he says that the answer of this is not X, it's Y, okay? Now, it depends on the person that I am, the kind of belief that I have in myself, and my view on this other source that's saying something else. It depends on this. Now, according to this, I may say that now I'm not going to take into account or your proposal and your answer, or I may take it, but in the end, according to my logic, my answer, my calculations are more legitimate than yours, for your opinion to undermine them. So I'm going to accept no, that the answer is still X. But someone else might say that no, I believe in the way that you calculated the answer more. And whether they realize it or not, they're saying that your calculations are more legitimate than mine. So when they're put into the formula, this belief that I have in your mathematical experience, I think it undermines my answer of X, and I'm going to accept your answer of Y, because I believe in you more than I believe in myself, or whatever. So who's going to say, how can you say who's wrong? Of course, you can do it in the mathematical things, because everything that you can do, you might say you can do it in mathematics, but you can do it in everything, because you can have a logic and substance to agree or disagree on anything. It's not just because 2 plus 2 is 4 is obvious and everything else is not obvious. No, as just the same as the most sophisticated things can be unobvious, the simplest things, according to you, might not be obvious to me, even 2 plus 2. So I don't want to get into it. I want to try to make it as simple as possible. Just as I said, sources can be different, and every source is just as legitimate as the other person. I can say that I believe I want to take this guy who's my teacher's word about this thing, or I can say I want to take this guy who I want to be a student of, who's lived 1,000 or 5,000 years ago. I want to accept his word and his belief because I think he knows better than me, or whatever. And you can't say that, no. Or I've heard things from him that seem logical to me. It's not that I'm just accepting it without any basic logical thought and belief. And it's just belief. It doesn't have anything to do with the rational mind. No, it's not like that. It may be that I've accepted every single thing on my own logic. So, once again, I'll try to sum up what I'm trying to say. Everyone has a religion. Religions are ideologies. Or say it another way. Everyone has an ideology. Everyone's ideology is their definition of right and wrong. Religions are also definitions of right and wrong. It's a source which people can accept or not. So, in that sense, religions in the classical sense, Christian, in this explanation, every single person, whether they realize it or not, whether they believe in anything or not, has a religion. Whether they don't believe in anything, their religion is, their truth is that nothing is real. There is no truth. And that is the truth in itself. Or there is a single truth and that there is no truth. And legislations are the belief of the legislators, the belief of the legislators, the legislators' belief of what is right and wrong. So there will never be a separation of state and religion. The secular state that atheists propose as an acceptable law and society, that as a secular society, as a basic form of the law that should control and impose what is right and wrong, and other people of other beliefs must have to live. Everyone should live in a secular state. But they're calling themselves the chosen ones. Like, they're doing exactly, as I said before in other videos, when you try to dismiss an ideology, your own ideology must be completely different, must be in contrast with this. So when they say, oh, Muslims are trying to impose their beliefs on us, they're trying to bring a Sharia law, they're trying to bring the religious law here, when you propose a secular state, we will never have a secular as a religionless state. We will always have a religious state, but it will be on the religion, based on the religion. What they mean is, whether they realize it or not, which they don't, is that it is based on a religion that does not believe in God, an atheistic religion. So the same argument can be done. Why should we accept your imposition, your imposing of your belief as law on me? Why should I accept it? It's the same argument. So I'm going to answer, at least give my view on what should be done. And it's obvious, it's what we do. It's exactly what we do. Or what we try to do at least. But we don't realize that how contradictory this opinion that we have is, that must not be based on religion. What should be based on? It will always be based on religion. So, as I said before, so the next part, which I'm going to say again, because this is, I thought was going to be a shortening the explanation that I had before. Their only problem is they don't accept the sources. And there is no way that you can say that the source that you have used to reach an opinion is not acceptable to me. So you will not be the part of the process of the conversation that we're going to have about what is right and wrong. You cannot tell me, because everyone has a right to an opinion. Everyone has a right to choose what kind of society, what they're going to live in. So you cannot just say, you cannot just wave your hand and say, oh, you can't be part of this debate and this discussion because I don't believe in the sources that you have. Because, a book from 1,000 years ago, I can accept that. You can't have this as an opinion maker for yourself. You can't have this as something that you put into the formula to reach a conclusion. Why not? Why can you have like Darwin's theory because that's scientific? What is science? Science, like said about 400, 500 years ago, that the earth was flat. And it's not just, you might say it was the church that said it. No, it wasn't just the church. It was scientists. One scientist said that you have to cut off people's limbs to make them live, because that's what they believed in. And you might say, and these might have answers, but it's not like science is not the absolute truth about everything. Because science had to go. It's obvious that when you say that the more we learn about the universe, we learn how much we don't know. It proves just how at least flawed science is. I'm not trying to dismiss science. I believe in science very, very, very much. Both of my parents are university scholars. So we're, in the definition, a very scientific, in its classical sense, family. But what I mean is that you can't say what your notion of science. Your notion of science may differ with my notion of science. When you say in mathematics, in physics, in chemistry, you say I believe in this source, what this guy has said, and someone will say no, I believe in this one, what this guy has said, and they may debate on it, and they may never reach a conclusion. They may never form one belief. But if they still differ, you can't say that this one's sources are not legitimate. You may say, I don't accept them, and I'm going to base my belief on this guy's sources, but you can't say this guy's sources are not legit. Because what is the thing that makes me accept one source or not? My logic. It's my brain. It's how I believe and perceive things. So who's to say that my logic is acceptable and this person's is not? Your logic is not acceptable. My logic is, and yours is not. Sam Harris's is, mine is not. Or Sam Harris's, or mine is, and Sam Harris's is not. There is no way you can ever define that. There is no way that you can form a basis that it shows exactly a charter where it shows, okay, that these are the sources that we accept. This is the logic that must be accepted, and everyone else is and every logic, other logic that contradicts this is not acceptable. Is not acceptable what? To me, yes, of course I can not accept it. But to say that the person who does not have my beliefs and my opinions cannot take part in a conversation about what he or she has a right about, and that is the law that will be imposed on a society that person lives in. No, you can never do that. You can never say that you don't have a right to be part of this conversation about the laws that we're going to make because I don't believe or we don't believe in your sources. Even if it's a single human being, even if it's a single, and the whole human race are going to talk about one single unifying constitution, and there's only one person disagrees with everyone else, you can't say that his or her opinions are not legitimate, so they should not be part of the conversation. No, he has his right to form his opinion, even if it's an opinion that no one's ever heard about, even if it's a belief in a religion, an ideology that no one can ever put a name on because it's never been heard, and it's his own. It's something that he's come up with. It's a notion that he's come up with the universe that nobody's ever thought about before. It doesn't matter. That's his religion. He has a right to have it. Whatever sources he may have for his belief, he has a right to do it. Does he have a right to impose his belief on us? No, he does not have a right to impose his belief. I can accept it or not, and he can accept the rest of the world's opinions or not. The 100th so in this episode, conclusion after conclusion after conclusion, all forming a loop, and it all comes down to the same thing, explaining the explained before. What I'd like to say is that religion, there will never be a division, a separation of state and religion. In its basic form, because everybody has a religion, and laws and religions are the same thing, but laws have an imposing physical, this worldly body that is called the government and the state. And you can't say that saying that we should have a secular state is having an atheistic state. It is having a state that believes that there is no God, or we're not going to mind him, even if he's there or not. We're not going to have anything to do with him. And having a religious, in the Islamic or Christian or whatever, belief means that there is a God and we are going to mind him. So why is this right and why is this wrong? Why should we form one on this and not form one on this? I'm saying the same argument can be used in both cases. Oh, they're trying to impose Sharia law, we're trying to do atheistic law. It's exactly the same thing. So what's my solution? What's my answer? Well, my answer is first, I think this is how we should view this problem is, there will never be a religionless state. Okay. And in the basic sense, no religion, which is a belief, no belief is more legitimate than the next one, or the contradicting one. Who's to say what is wrong and right if it's just based on my own logic? And everyone has their own specific logic. So, what should we do? If there is no basis that is different from atheism, Christianity, or Buddhism, or whatever isms there are, communism, if there is no difference in the sense that neither one is more legitimate than the next, what should a society based upon? Should it not be based upon any ideology? No, because that's anarchy. That's just lawlessness. The rule Without law, there would be no laws. That's just anarchy. They can't have this. So what should be imposed? What belief should be imposed? I'm not going to say which should be imposed. That's the problem. Because my answer is that since it is a loop, the question that is imposed, that should there be a separation of state and religion, because it's a loop, because it's a contradiction, because it will never happen. So you can't take a step and think, okay, so now that we should not have a state and religion, how should the state be run? There will never be a separation of state and religion, because there will never be a separation of ideology and belief and state, and that's what religion is. So I think that we're looking at the question wrong. I'm saying that there will always be based on religion. You can't say that just because you cannot say that we should have a secular state and a secular basis and go up on from there, okay, and move forward from there. No, I think that we should have. The only answer is, and I'm going to change the question. What religion should the state be formed upon? Atheism, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever, or communism, whatever. It should be based upon democracy. Democracy is the rule of the majority, and accepting the rights of the minorities. So, if the majority of the people want an atheistic belief, that's what the basis and the country should be run upon. And the Christians and the Muslims have a right. I'll get to this later, because it's an important factor and point of what the difference between my belief, and because you might say, oh, that's what we're proposing as well. In the end, it might seem the same, because you might say this, that's why we're proposing it. So the people, so the people can choose. It is democratic. It's the same thing. You're not finding a kind of like contradiction in our word. No, it's the same thing. We're proposing that we should have a secular, or whatever you say, atheistic society. It doesn't matter. But in the end, it's the same conclusion and solution that you come to. It's democratic. We're not trying to impose our belief, but there's a difference. There are two differences. One is how we get here, and the second is where we can get from there. How we get here is that you don't understand that what you're saying is you're ruling out the sources that religious people have, and saying it's not your idea isn't based on voting. It may be the means may be the same, because you understand that you can impose it with a gun or something like this. The best way, or at least the best way to impose your belief, is to have other people accept it. But I'm saying that no, it's not just about what is the best way. It is the true way. It is the right way that people should do. And no other way is acceptable. Even if I could impose my belief on people, another way, no, I must let them make a choice. So there's a difference how we reach this conclusion, how we reach this society. Whether it's atheistic, where people vote on atheisms, where people accept to have a religious costume based on the religion of atheism, that there is no God, or based on Islam or Christianity, whatever. So and the second thing is that in my notion, because it is based on the will of the people and the right of everyone to form an opinion and to advertise their opinion and try to bring other people to their beliefs and try to change laws in what they believe is right, if the people chose an Islamic state, okay, to be the foundation and the basis of the society that we're going to have, laws that we're going to have in this society, atheists have a right to talk about their belief and change other people's minds and opinions and bring them to the notion that atheism is right and Islam is wrong, and the laws may be changed. Does your belief have a place for this or not? Do you think Mr. Sam Harris has a place for this ideology? And if he has, he's never said it. So at the simplest notion, people like Hitchens and Hawkins, I'm going to Sam Harris, because I haven't heard Sam Harris talk about this much. they don't talk about every aspect of the notion like I have. It may be that they haven't talked specifically about this idea of have a secular state or whatever, but you can draw your own conclusions. I don't think, at least, I'm not trying to judge anyone, but the truth is that I really don't think that they've thought about if we have a secular society and people want it to be Islamic, what should it be? Should it be Islamic or not? If the majority of the people want it, that's democracy. That's democracy. Who's to say that? Look, like hijab. Of course, it's a point that I can make. I'll make another video where I'm going to talk about hijab and the naqba and what the Muslim women and men have to wear and things like this, and whether it's an impreach on the rights of women and men and whatever, or no, it's just the same thing as what we do in any other country. So, and if you understand the logic I've used from my other videos and this video, I think you can reach a conclusion yourself, but I will make a video soon about it. So just to clear cut my notion and give an explanation about this, I would like to say that first thing is, you will never have a religion that is different from the legislation. I will never have a religion and then never have a legislation that will be separated from law. First of all, that's a basic thing. Everyone has a religion. Everyone has a religion, and their religion is what they believe is right or wrong. And the belief that we will have a secular state is completely wrong. We will never have a secular state. It will always be based, if a secular state, but what people like Hitchens and Hawkins mean is a state based on atheism, not religionless, not a religionless state. Sorry, and they don't believe in the fact, I think at least, that we can have a religious society if the people want it. Just like we can have, I believe that we should have an atheistic religious society if the people chose. But who's to say my logic is more legitimate and more acceptable than someone else's? There is no difference between people's logics and opinions is being acceptable or not. But we can only have, can we have two different or many, can we have a multi-ideology society in its base of law? No. The law can only be one thing in every specific situation. You can't have two rights or two wrongs. One thing can be right and everything else must be wrong. So we should have only one law, and that law should be imposed. The law that should be imposed is the belief and the law and the religion of the majority of people, because there is no other way. Is it flawed? Yes. Does it have problems? Yes. Is there any other better solutions? Do we have any better solutions? Any better alternatives? At least nothing comes to my mind, and I think that nothing comes, because since democracy is, it's what we do. The part that I said, it's what we do, whether we realize it or not. It's exactly what we're doing in the world. We may do it flawed and wrong. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong, but it's exactly what we do. So that was my point. Those were what I was going to talk about here, and I hope you liked it. And I would really like it if somebody would give me their opinions and put it in the comment section, so I can read them and I try to answer them. And it was a very difficult, I think, subject to talk about. So if you have any doubts or the parts you don't understand, a part I don't agree with, please tell me so I can try to explain it more better. Or if I realize something is wrong and flawed with my opinion, I'll try to talk about them. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon with the next video. Goodbye.